All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very end of the term for all of you. I wasn't sure what I was going to put for an end of term announcement. It's been such a crazy last 2 weeks. Those of you who have stayed up on the work, you seem to have become more vigilant soldiers here, where not only did you do your work all term, and I'm only speaking of, I think in this class now, seven students. Not only did you do good work, you just keep getting better as the weeks go on. And as I lean into this and try and get other students to jump in and catch up and do these other things, most of them have not, and you guys just continue to improve. So I hope you notice that I've spent more time giving more to some of you, as much as I could, to give more time and attention there for students who are doing the work. And I unfortunately still had to do a lot with students the last 2 weeks who have been sick, who have had, a death in the family, all these different things that have happened. It's not out of the ordinary in some of these regards. What is out of the ordinary is the number of continuations and things that I've given, and trying to work around these different things on schedules. On memoir, final draft, and things, I still have a couple of you guys I have to put the grade up for them. But with the exception of one of those, it's like a 20. Everyone had a 24 or 25 out of 25 right in that area, with the exception of, I think, one more that I have to post. And the average on the final draft there was a 92%. So most of you did very, very well on the memoir. So there's no concern there. I did recommend 2 people that I thought it was worthwhile to do a rewrite. So those are already posted and back. So everybody else, I don't think I had anybody else I was recommending those. If I do see anything else this evening on memoir, on the final draft on those, when it comes to that in terms of the grading procedure, if it shows up here under your assignments that's on there and it says something about, potentially a rewrite, the class ends on the 12th. I'm not going to add anything in here on 8 week. It's just the outline that's due. I'm going to go over that right now. There's nothing additional that I'm going to add on here. What I will say in weeks past about some of these things is that it's very clear that some students, my students who have A's in this class right now, not only read and watched all these things and watched the videos and these and went through the readings and the textbooks very clearly, because you followed every bit of instruction that I've given you. Not only is that clear, your work is improved every week, but for half of this class, and this is so anomalous that this was a late start summer class. Maybe there's something dealing with that the students just weren't on the right base when this started and just never caught up. But right around this point, around the 4th and 5th weeks in these, it seems like half of the class just decided to do very little or nothing at all. And I'll talk about some of these things when it came to these discussion boards. For students who did them, I gave all credit, and if there's something that's posted, don't worry, over the next day or so while I'm doing final grades, I'll put credit in there for anybody if I might have missed those. I have to double check the file because I had to unlink them because of some of the ways that some of the students did some of those other things on the submission files. But if it unlinked, so you see a grade in one area but it's not in the grade book, that's why. But I will link those, make sure those are all up. But for anybody who did them, you got full credit on those. For some of you, I excused some. But for students who simply weren't doing anything in the class, I didn't. Okay, for those of you who I excused, there were very good rationales put forward as to what was going on. And 2 of you, I was working with you over those issues with your tech, your software issues and other things like that, and those were completely understandable. One student in this class had an unbearably difficult tech situation to deal with for about 5 or 6 days, and I applaud you for sticking with it and trying to get yourself through that. It put the student back quite a bit, and it showed great resolve that you worked through that, and I'm glad that, it took us 3 days of Zooming and everything else to try and figure some of that out, but it got done. But I excuse some of those discussion boards. But I've done as much as I can to excuse all these different things and try and give grades and credit as much as I possibly could. And anyone who didn't have feedback on a prior file, I took that into consideration on final draft submissions. So when we got to this point here, where everyone's just has submitted now the summary and working thesis and primary points of support, I gave full credit to everyone who did all of this just in accordance with the instructions on these. And the problem on these, with looking at this, now on these, I had very few students actually submit a final draft of rhetorical analysis. And then most students submitted summary and working thesis and primary points of support after, not submitting a final draft here and only submitting partially completed things in the weeks prior. All of a sudden I got a whole slew of these summaries and working thesis and primary points of support. I think 18 out of 22, 18 or 19, maybe 19 out of 22 students who were registered for the class. I had we started with one low, and I think we had 2 students dropping before the beginning of the term. So there's still 22 on roster for this section, but all of a sudden I got all these, but half of the ones that were submitted, to say that it looks like you didn't read the instructions on these things is putting it so mildly. I have students who gave me these summaries with working theses. I want to be clear about some of these things that were requirement based. If we went through the drop boxes on those, like here's the research paper outline with abstract. I changed this date to the 12th, so the actual official last night of class. You guys can have till the 12th to submit these. But I do have all the summaries, working theses, and primary points of support with works cited. I do have all of those done. I only have 3 or 4 of them, I think, to publish the feedback file over the next hour or two. It's almost 8 now, and I just finished up another batch of those for 2 classes, and some of the other people who are doing actual longer research papers in another section. But I have, in this moment, looking through like the requirements on these, the everything that could possibly need to be addressed is not only listed on these. You have these overview videos here, the ones for the week. I go through things in duplicate and triplicate, and some of you just have no sense of urgency about you or will to complete on any of this. Like there's no adherence to the guidelines. I got 6 of them that are written in first and second person. The summaries and theses and primary points of support and works cited. I got 6 of them. At least 6, written in first or second person, fragmentation, sentence level issues throughout. I've only gotten 3 tutoring confirmations from this entire class all semester. Out of 22 students, everyone was required to do at least 1 ASC tutoring session. And remember, that's available to you right here, Academic Support Centers. This was covered in weeks 1, weeks 2. The sessions are required, 1 per student per semester. That's included in your tuition. And included in your tuition, which we fought for so long to have for you guys, is this level of support where you simply contact them, whatever campus you're working with, go to the tutoring, look at your campus schedule. We're based out of Auburn Hills. All term long, this has been available online, face-to-face, or on campus. Again, I have 2 for the entire semester for this class right now. And I have 22 students. Do I have 3? 22 students. And of them, everyone had to do at least 1, but 7 or 8 students in this class at least got YTR 2 and 3 recommendations on your diagnostic. That meant you were recommended for either once during each drafting stage or for everything you did all term if you were a YTR 3. Now for some of you later on in the semester, I recommended that you move a little bit further down the line. If you were a YTR 1, I suggested that might have been an incorrect placement, and a YTR 2 would be a little bit more applicable. Which can happen because diagnostic writing is pretty easy. It's first person, then we move into second. And most of you had such an easy time on framing a memoir, out of something in your own lives and writing in first person still. It can be a little bit difficult to gauge those properly, and that was definitely the case with 2 of you in this class. I wish I had given you YTR 2s or even 3s, because now looking at the sentence level skills as we got the rhetorical analysis and research, there are many of you who clearly need remediation. You need to be going through tutoring, or you should have taken a 1055 or a 1060 course, something that covers sentence level skills. I think half of this class doesn't know what a sentence is. I look at it and I've marked those all semester long on many things and been through these. You don't understand person, point of view, fragment, sentence structure, run-on, comma splice, none of those things. And that's not the type of course this is. This is content-based. I should just be able to go through and mark these for grades and put in a commentary on content. But there's so many errors from start to finish, and chasing students around for the work to begin with just leaves no time for any of that. So at this stage now, I also extended to a couple of you guys that I thought really, you worked and you tried hard, but you still had a number of issues. I extended an open invite there for some of you to, make contact with me later on, even if you're back, if we're going to fall semester and you're on campus, you want to set up an office visit to get more clarification on something we worked on this term. I'd be more than happy to do that with those of you that I made note of that. And I reiterated in your audio files, too, for those of you I did, because I don't want anyone moving on without an understanding of at least the things they were supposed to get out of this level of composition. But for many of you, the things that you need are not introduced or covered in this section. They're just remediation things. And you could have addressed those things through tutoring throughout the term, but you made the decision to ignore that part or simply not utilize it. So those sentence level issues remain, and you're going to deal with those throughout a good deal of your academic career if you don't address those. I recommend grammar manuals, pocket keys for writers, something along those lines to give you an understanding. And for most of you, I made recommendations to review under instructional links, coordination and subordination. Before I get out of here, just so we know, research paper outline. This is the last thing to complete. Make sure you download this template. And remember, you got to complete the abstract. You have to have them quotes in there. Make sure you read the instructions in here about how to frame quotes. You have to have 3 parts to that structure. Okay? Intro quote, give quote, explain or defend quote. But when I was referring to, what I was referring to a moment ago, sorry guys, the screen just skipped out. What I was referring to a moment ago under instructional links, you go down here to the bottom of the page, coordination, subordination. Those are 2 instructional videos that are included on here.
As I'm in the...
They cover these,
ladies and gentlemen,
these different aspects of coordination and subordination, which are the only rules in the English language that we're concerned with for combining independent and dependent clauses in any structured setting. So you have those. You also have the coordination subordination overview. Sometimes this one does not open for students on this page because of some of the settings on your guys' files. If it doesn't open here, it's included. This was mentioned several times at the start of the term. It's included here under your instructional links in the content file as well. So you can get it here, and you certainly can download it. It won't boot anybody out of Access because this is an uploaded file of a PDF. So you can download that. But I recommend that many of you especially those I said, go through and watch those 2 videos on coordination, subordination, review this overview, and answer these questions for yourself. You might find that very helpful. And you also, in terms of the content files here, have the punctuation and mechanics overviews that's included. You have them basic punctuation and mechanic overview here, which is it's an easy one to use for Access. And there are files on here that you guys don't have. That's for my master file. But there's another one here that's the link that I went over with you guys at the beginning of the term, punctuation guide. This is a good source for a number of you to use, and a number of you truly need it. Okay? So the final send-off on here, guys, is this. Your last 2 things, you got your research paper outline with abstract. Make sure you read through those instructions, finish that outline, and have it submitted by the 12th at 11:30 p.m., which is the final night of the class. I then get the next day and a half or so to finalize grades and get them in. Okay, so for students who are working with extra credit, confirmation and things, if you did tutoring sessions or you're still doing one this week, put the confirmations in here, just the confirmation form. Or if you know that you're failing because you didn't do the work this term or whatever happened to this situation that you went through, the WS grade requests should go there. Okay? I can also accept them just under instant messaging. I'd prefer them here. Read through this end of term of announcement and let me know if you guys have question, non-passing and passing. But this end of the term here, this is the final thing, the outline, and then it's a send-off. Okay? I wish you all the best.